my Haley Stevens.
According to a new Politico poll, while Abdul El Sayed, a progressive former public health official, gets a support of 41%. This is all well within the margin of error. And it is important to note that a full 18% in this survey say they are not sure who they'll support, which means this is a race that could flip at any moment. We have extended invitations to both of the Democratic candidates, and one of them joins me now, Abdul El Sayed, Democratic candidate for the United States Senate in Michigan. Abdul, thank you for joining us. I just laid out some of the polls, and I think a lot of people know that you had been leading.
You'll never guess who Haley Stevens endorsed in the 2020 run for president? Michael Bloomberg. Easy question. Don't even come at me on my Haley Stevens trivia. Huh. You think I'm not the fucking king of Haley Stevens trivia? What do you mean? By the way, between Abdul and Haley, only one literally took out a dude who's not only Jewish, but is like a prominent fixture in the Jewish community, Andy Levin. It's so funny. Haley Stevens did something objectively more anti-Semitic than Abdul El Sayed ever could do, which was go after a candidate that was like somewhat critical of Israel, or pretty critical of Israel at the time. And take him out at the behest of AIPAC.
In the polls when it was a three-person race. But then after Mallory McMorrow dropped, Haley Stevens has closed in on you. So how are you going to win?
Level 3 hype train. If you want me to carry the flame, if you want, what gives? If you want me to carry the flame, subscribe or gift a sub. What gives? Level 5 hype train. Just ignore me. Thank you. What Tommy says? What Tommy says? Thank you for the 50 subs. What gives?
This race, like, who is your coalition?
So thank you first for having me. And I just want to draw attention that poll wasn't from Politico. That poll seems to be funded by AIPAC, and they are really eager to generate this idea that somehow all of these voters who would have supported my past opponent, Mallory McMorrow, are now supporting the current opponent, Haley Stevens. But look,
can I make a point about that? I wanted to ask you about those kind of polls, but since you brought it up, I'm wondering, because I have heard similar things about a poll that you put out that showed that you all were, I think it was something like 13 or 16 points ahead of Haley Stevens. I am somebody that knows intimately polls don't vote, people do. So I guess I take it back to whether the polls are being juiced or not. What is the coalition that you think you can put together to win in this primary?
Well, I'll tell you this. We're already putting it together. I've been up and down the state, 110 different cities now, 450 public events. And polling, you're right, is this really imperfect science. What really matters is who you can energize to bring out. Most polls agree that I am dominating the field among young people, 83-6 at this point. And then you have communities of color, whether that is the Black community in Detroit, where I served, or across Wayne County. That is communities of color, including the Latino community and the Arab and Muslim community. And then you have voters out in the rest of the state, folks who are affiliated with Indivisible that's done an amazing job organizing. And then, of course, you have labor, dominant, mighty labor in Michigan. We've been proud to earn the endorsement of the UAW, endorsements of the AFT and the National Nurses United, and the vast majority of labor members in the state of Michigan. And more importantly, right, we are having a conversation every single day with folks who are asking, how do we come together to get money out of politics, put money in your pocket, pass Medicare for all? As we all know, in 2024, unfortunately, Michigan went to Donald Trump. And that was because we could not keep a group together that included a lot of those quote unquote undecided or middle voters. I don't know that middle is the right term, but I do know that there are a lot of people who've been alienated by politics on both sides of the aisle. And we're reaching out to them to actually talk about what it looks like to bring people back to the center of our politics rather than be dominated by corporations, which unfortunately, whether you're talking about Haley Stevens or Mike Rogers, tend to be funded that way.
You know, the point you made about 2024, I mean, Michigan elected Donald Trump, but also sent Alyssa Slotkin to the United States Senate. So there were clearly some split ticket voters. I want to go back to the coalition piece here because when you look at like what Trump did in, which I have thoughts about, what he did in Michigan, Detroit turnout was a little bit softer, right? Macomb County was more Republican. Rural counties definitely maxed out. There were working class voters that moved to the right. And then the Democratic margins among Black men and young people were slightly smaller than what they needed to be. So I called up a lot of Black folks in Michigan today that I know. I've worked a lot of campaigns in my former life. And I talked to some people that are squarely in your camp. I've talked to some people that said they are not in your camp. And I've talked to some people that said, look, either one could get elected. One of the things that I heard is that some people are hesitant to support you because you didn't support Kamala Harris in 2024.
That's literally not true. He was the first Muslim leader in the state. Talking shit. What is this? Oh yeah, no, he's not talking shit. He's talking about Abdul El-Sayed holding several positions in Detroit and Wayne County government and got 30% of the vote for a run for governor in 2018, saying like he has been vetted. Abdul's biggest problem was he was right too early, man. Level 6 hype train almost done. Level 6 hype train is at 50 seconds remaining at 92%. What gives? Hassan's biggest donor. 30 seconds remaining. Will we carry the flame or not? Paralyzed pendant plug. What gives? Thank you for the 10. Mate, feed, art with the 50. Level 7 hype train. Is it K-pop one? Okay, fine, whatever. Not yet. Not yet. What gives? Level 7 hype train almost done. You're actually getting a little better at the accent. It's weird. That's how you get better at the accent. You just keep doing it. Maddie Maroon, Trump's biggest donor. %90 at level 7 hype train. Sorry. 90%. You saw a post, level A hype train. You saw a post on r/Michigan, and people in Michigan were saying they don't recognize our accent. Isn't it Upper Peninsula? Isn't that what it is? No, that's not Uper. No, it's like what a West Coaster thinks the Midwest sounds like. I don't know what it is, but I like it. Isn't it early for food, bro? The level of parasocialism is unbelievable. Like, motherfuckers are timing when I eat my lunch, bro. Level 8 hype train, 3 minutes remaining, 17%. Only 2 levels until we carried the flame.
Like, what are you trying to do to bring people together?
Can I just address that straight up?
Yeah.
I definitely endorsed Vice President Harris in 2024. I endorsed her.
Why are they saying
the
you
day
didn't?
after she was the nominee? Yeah, well, it's some mis and disinformation. Look, when the other side has $40 million of AIPAC money to spend, they move a lot of disinformation. You know, I got the receipts to prove it. The truth of the matter is I endorsed her, even though I had endorsed uncommitted, because at the end of the day, whether you saw this election from the eyes of a child in Detroit or the eyes of a child in Gaza, Vice President Harris would have been so much better. And I spent a lot of time both on the phone with leaders in the Arab and Muslim community, in basements and living rooms, having conversations about just how crazy Donald Trump really would be in a second term, and having conversations with the Harris campaign about why they needed to move on policy regarding the Middle East. Unfortunately, the outcome was a catastrophe. It was one of the most frustrating 3-month periods of my whole life. I learned a lot in that period, and I bring that to this work. I think anybody who wants to divide us about what happened in the past is missing the opportunity to bring us together.
Chat's so funny. Chat getting mad at Abdul saying he was one of the first in the Muslim community to endorse Kamala Harris as though that's like a fucking bad thing in Wayne County. Dude. Are you insane? It's a Democratic primary, dude. What are you talking about? I don't get it. It would literally, first of all, it would cook his ass if he hadn't. Right now, they'd be blasting that shit nonstop. Guys, Cori Bush was presented as a spoiler who hates the Democrats in Missouri 1. AIPAC knows how to AIPAC knows how to activate people. Please. We're talking about someone running in the Democratic Party primary in a state that has a lot of black voters too. And not just black voters, but just like there is, as I've described to you already, there's a little bit of tension there between Dearborn and Detroit. And it's an interesting tension because the black voters in general, and just like black people in Michigan in general, are very supportive of Palestine, but also at the same time, they're annoyed with what they perceive were, the Dearborn people, Muslims, Arab voters, voting for Donald Trump. It's not the biggest issue, but Abdul just neutralizing that immediately and not allowing AIPAC to fucking slam that narrative in is perfect.
future. And I'll tell you, as the first Arab or Muslim leader in Michigan to endorse Vice President Harris, I really want our party to recognize that we were wrong on that issue, and we have an opportunity to get right on principles moving forward.
I have to say, you know, because again, I talked to a lot of different people today, and I think that the piece that I was hearing about the support or lack thereof for Vice President Harris in 2024 comes from a place where people are like, I don't really know him that well. I heard a lot of folks say to me that, you know, you're very charismatic, you give a great speech, but that they haven't seen you in their communities, particularly, and these were I talked to some young black leaders and some older black leaders. Now, the folks that I talked to that have decided that they are in your camp said, look,
I'm not going to say anything here. I'm sorry. This is literally, straightforwardly, the most insane. Anything that I say going forward will be visibly weaponized against me, so I'm not going to say anything. But I don't think this is a fair interpretation of a person who worked in Wayne County, in public health, specifically in Detroit. I feel like this criticism seems a little bit I don't know. I don't know how to say this without coming across as I'm just not going to say anything. I don't know if this criticism is valid. And it's not one that I have heard from people, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm shocked that this is coming from Simone, who literally worked for Bernie Sanders, who got this criticism the whole time. Hassan's new pharmacist. You have not paid attention to Simone's commentary after she stopped working for the Bernie Sanders campaign, I think. Also, we're at level 9 hype train with 1 minute remaining. Level 9 hype train. Level 9 hype train, 14%. 1 minute remaining. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 minute remaining. Okay. One minute remaining. Will we make it at level 9? What gives? Who will be Hassan's biggest donor? Lil B Stan. Make feed art. Thank you for the 50. Designer Dragon. Thank you for the 5. Jen Lime. Thank you for the 25. And that's it. On that note, we hit level 10 hype train, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go.
He stood unshaken, a voice in the storm, a man of conviction, a heart reborn. He spoke the truth when the cost was high. He lived for Jesus, unafraid to die. We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame. We'll fight for the gospel, we'll honor his name. Oh, we are Charlie Kirk, his courage our own. Together unbroken, we'll make heaven known. A husband, a father, his family held near. A home built on scripture, on faith without fear. The world
dead ass links, please?
His courage our own. Together unbroken, we'll make heaven known. We are Charlie forever alive.
Oh my God.
With God we will rise.
My kids are laughing at me. Why? Why? Because you carried the flame? You should educate your little children on also carrying the flame no matter how hard it is, okay? Is this what all music sounds like to you? I'll be honest. Yes. But I think it's because this is the only music I listen to. And I mean that sincerely. I have not heard any song, even by accident, outside of my daily carrying of the flame in like the last couple of months. Is that crazy? Yeah, Chatter, you should disown your children for making fun of you. Making fun of you like that. It's unbelievable. How dare they?
They like what you are talking about. So it seems to me that you are cobbling together an important coalition, but is this a coalition you think that can make the difference in this primary race? That 18, I know we cited that one poll, but there are a lot of people that still haven't made up their mind, and a month is a very long time.
A month is a very long time in politics. I will tell you this. I served the city of Detroit as health director, rebuilt the health department in the city, and then served Wayne County as director of health, human, and veteran services. In this race, I by far have the dominant service record in these communities. Now, you always have more work to do to introduce yourself in the new role you hope to hold as U.S. Senator. But I also know that we have a message that's real. Right now, a lot of the impact in this race is the $40 million of outside spending that is being done on behalf of AIPAC and corporate PACs for my opponent. And they are using that to mis and disinform the public, both about her record and mine. And that's unfortunate because, well, I don't take corporate money and I don't ask AIPAC certainly to fund their campaign. There's a reason that they are hammering us with attack ads right now. They've called me the most dangerous candidate for the U.S.-Israel relationship. And that's because I have the audacity to believe that Palestinians have equal rights to peace, dignity, and self-determination. And so what a lot of people are seeing is my opponent on their TV screens or attack ads against me. But when you look at my record, putting glasses on kids, eliminating medical debt, making sure to show up for folks in the moments of their lives when their health is at risk, I'll take my record over just about anybody when it comes to serving the city and Wayne County. So I look forward to continuing to share that over the next month. We have 10,000 volunteers knocking doors up and down the city, up and down the county, and we're continuing to build that coalition brick by brick, the old-fashioned way, having real conversations with people instead of asking AIPAC and corporations to buy ads for me.
AIPAC came up a lot at last night's debate. The other thing that came up that really sparked my curiosity, because I watched it, I didn't watch it live, but I did watch it this morning, is that Haley Stevens has been criticizing you for not releasing your personal finance disclosure until after the primary. The former strategist in me is like, why not just release it and take her talking point away?
We absolutely will, and we intend to. Sometimes finances are complicated, and I can only control what I can control. And unfortunately, when it comes to tax documents, sometimes they're really complicated to get. We are absolutely going to release it before the primary. But this is all a distraction from the fact that her campaign finances are a real problem. You think about the money she's taken. Right now, there are people who are going to bed without electricity for the 5th night in a row because of the failure, the debacle that is our utility, DTE. She's taking $37,500 for them. What do you think that buys? You think about the impact when it comes to taking corporations' money from big tech and whether or not she's going to stand up when it comes to AI or someone trying to put a data center in your backyard. So the question is not about my personal finances. It's about the finances of the corporations and the billionaires she will make rich if, in fact, she's elected as their next U.S. senator.
I guess I just want, like, why not just take her talking point away? I mean, are the disclosures going to say that you're rich? And if you are, okay.
I'm a public servant who spent my career trying to build health departments and lead in the bowels of Wayne County and the city of Detroit. We are going to certainly drop that as soon as we get those documents in order. So it is not, frankly, a matter of not wanting to. It's just a matter of trying to wrangle together documents.
All right. Send them to me when you get them.
We certainly
Abdul
will.
Sayed, thank you for joining us.
I do want to make
tonight.
sure, though. I do want to make sure, though, when you do have her on, just make sure you ask her about her and her mother's trip to Portugal. It's an interesting story.
Now, I want to be clear. I got some other questions I wanted to ask you, and I think there's questions for both of y'all. And at the end of the day, I really do want to talk to Congresswoman.
Oh my God. God, I'm not going to say anything. Simone Sanders, I wish she was a little bit.
We begin with.
I wish she was a little bit nicer. But by the way, will you, Hassan Piker, carry LaFlame? Yes. Andrea LaFlamme expresses interest in running for U.S. Senate in Maine. She was a write-in candidate in the Democratic primary. Andrea LaFlame. She got 800 write-in votes. This is the not Israel, sorry, I apologize. This is the, she's anti-genocide. I don't know if she's anti-Zionist, but this is the blue sky pick. Which, respect. Even Blue Sky isn't backing her? Wait, what? Blue Sky turned on Andrea LaFlame? Blue Sky turned on LaFlame? They didn't want to carry LaFlame? What the fuck? That's confusing. This was their write-in candidacy. The dictator has won. I heard he also got injured. Michael Fusco Art, thank you for the 111 gifted subs. Jesus Christ. What is this? Did you see this hate tweet? Claire is awesome.
Super interesting about your platform is you call for de-escalating the U.S. Cold War posture towards China and also reducing U.S. military bases. And you put
My queen. Well, both of them are my queens. I love both of them. They're great.
all of that in the context of climate change, which is so important. So I guess I wanted to ask you what that means in practice, especially as you see like every, Pentagon paper written about how like the coming war with China is like the next most important thing to happen.
I think it goes back to what I was saying before. I think there are talking heads and politicos who have a real vested interest in, trying to foment a Cold War, maybe even a hot war. I don't think that the working class wins in either scenario. We have to be really focused on the things that are actually threats to humankind right now. Climate change, the possibility of future pandemics, and what that will require is real, true global cooperation and solidarity and being a good neighbor. The United States should be a good neighbor to the rest of the world. We have, again, had this long history of extraction and violence, colonialism, and we can turn a page on that. We can draw down our military presence around the world. We can show that we want to be a good neighbor. And in doing so, not only are we advancing, we're moving the ball on climate change, we're, building relationships that I think will help, really build democracy around the world. But we'll also be bringing the resources back to our communities that we so desperately need. We need hospitals and education. We need good union jobs. We need to be building, climate resiliency here in the United States. All of that takes money, and right now we're just pouring it into bases around the world that have no purpose anymore.
Gosh, he's so awesome. I can't believe it. La Flamme is a two-state solution. Stop the genocide, but support a peaceful Israel lib. Yeah. What several people have noted to me, the campaign manager on the scandal played Cal Cunningham campaign, where Dems lost a winnable race in North Carolina, was immediately elevated to the DSCC and is now running it. Oh my God.
I think
the war in Iran as fighting flares up again. For a
Time for
second
the
night,
war in
the
Iran.
U.S. struck targets inside Iran, which responded with attacks on U.S. sites in the Gulf region. The president returned overnight from the NATO summit in Turkey, where he lobbed insults and threats at the Iranians and said the ceasefire is over. Weijia Jiang is at the White House with more. Weijia, good morning.
Good morning, Adriana. Good morning to everybody. President Trump is calling the latest U.S. strikes retribution for recent Iranian aggression in the Strait of Hormuz, a flashpoint that could send gas prices rising again. Trump also warned if Iran targets more commercial ships, it will, quote, get much worse.
We just hit them very hard, and I say we hit them 20-1. Every time they hit us, we're going to hit them 20.
President Trump unleashed anger and new attacks on Iran after declaring Wednesday an end to the fragile ceasefire and the framework meant to work out a permanent peace agreement. Speaking on the way back from the NATO summit in Turkey, Trump said the Iranians now want to get back to talking once again.
That's what he says every time.